Welcome into the Corner 3, taking you around the arc of college basketball. From the NCAA to the Pac-12, the WCC to the SWAC. We cover it all now on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Austin Orman.
That's right. Welcome in a special edition of the Corner 3, not on Friday nights. This one's on a Monday night. We had Selection Sunday. We are officially here at Matchup Monday. That's what I think I'm going to call it. Now, I am not alone here on the Corner 3. I hope you're along for the ride with me. Sartor Heyman Jewelers text line is pulled up as it should be. As you see, I am not alone in studio, joined by two of my favorites from the Nebraska basketball beat and beyond. We got the returning guest of the pod, Jacob Bigelow. Biggs, what's up?
What's up? These people have heard my voice far too much this year, but I am back again nonetheless, and I'm happy to be here because it's the best week of the year for sickos like us. Yesterday might as well have been a national holiday. There's that song, Swagger Like Us. This is sickos like us because it's basketball week, and that's what should be on the frontal lobe for everyone in the sports world.
As it should be, I agree. And you, Jacob, deliver. You brought a special guest with you. We heard his voice on 93.7 The Ticket once this year. Wilson Moore of the Omaha World Herald. Welcome in, Wilson.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. We are going to have some fun tonight. We are going to go through, we are going to fill out our brackets live on air. Follow along, give us grief, agree with us, whatever it is you want to do, we are here for it. So again, 402-464-5685, the number if you have any thoughts to share here on the bracket show, or of course you can leave a comment on Twitter. Let's get off and rolling, not waste any time here. Gentlemen, let's get the easy ones out of the way. Do you have any ones falling to 16s this year?
Respectfully, no.
I do not.
Yeah, respect to the 16 seeds. I don't see. I almost said Tobin Anderson, but Tobin Anderson got fired today, so that would have been a bad. Yeah, pour one out for Tobin Anderson. I don't see Ryan Odom walking through that door. How about that? So yes, respect all the 16s, but I don't see any of that this year.
We are, of course, on the second anniversary of FDU Purdue.
We are. Wow.
And he got canned on that same day.
And he got canned. Wow. I didn't even. Wow. That's tough.
Think about that.
That's tough. Iona basketball, and they were a game away too. They were in their final.
They were half away. 8 minutes away.
8 minutes.
8 minutes
they
away.
Lost.
Cold world. All right, I do have to officially go through here and mark off my one seeds. And I will let people know the bracket that you see me filling out is the bracket that I am submitting for my family competition. So that is the bracket I'm working off of here on CBS Sports, who I can give a free shout out to since they are who we carry nationally. So,
well, the real question is how's Beckett's bracket looking?
Oh, okay.
Has Beckett made his picks yet?
Okay, we are about we're not quite halfway through with Beckett's bracket. I didn't want to do just like show him different phones of mascots or something, trying to keep as much technology away from him as we can at a young age. So we have a big old alphabet puzzle. So we did the first letter of the school. Surprises he has so far. He picked Creighton over Auburn.
Wow.
16.
Wow.
I'm a homer.
A little bit, but your boy's not a Blue Jay, so I don't know where he got that one from. He has Lipscomb over Iowa State. Let's see. He had Liberty and Akron meeting, and he did pick a 16 over 1.
Oh. He
has the winner of American and Mountain St. Mary's taking down Duke.
That is the most like I'm here to spite my father. Like he's already looking to spite you, and he is that young.
I was gonna say, does he have information about Cooper Flagg's injury?
Beckett Orman, college basketball insider. John Rothstein, take that.
Yes.
He also has Grand Canyon in Florida in the Sweet 16.
Okay.
So that's about as far as we got. So we'll probably finish that one up tomorrow night, I assume, because he's going to be in bed by the time I get home. Mom didn't go through and finish it with him. So, yes, that is what Beckett's bracket is looking like so far. 2s and 15s. Anyone feeling spicy with a 15 taken down to 2 this year?
As much as I would love to experience the Omaha Mavericks taking down St. John's, I do not think it's going to happen. I think in terms of like a sports writer and how cool would it be to write that story, but I do not think that is the story I'll be writing on Thursday night.
Fair enough. Jacob?
Yeah, I'm in that similar vein. I was at the Omaha watch party yesterday, and it was pretty funny, like, because Michigan State came up first, and you can hear Tony Osborne audibly go, "I want it! Give it to me! We want this matchup!" And then they did, and then it's Bryant, and it was like, "Oh!" And then 2 more times, the 2 seats come up, they're like, "We want it!" And then it's just, and they're like, "We're going to be the last team announced on this show." And they were. And now they are going to, they're going to a mob town to take on a mob boss who just got done imposing his will on the Big East over the weekend in Rick Pitino. That's a tough draw. Late night, it'll be sleepy. And I'm still calling it the Dunk. I'm not calling it the Amp out in Providence, but. Quite the cast of characters out there, but I'm still going to take the Johnnies.
According to Z Rating on Twitter, the smallest gap between the 2 and 15 is actually that Omaha St. John's matchup.
Yeah.
So if you believe in the numbers,
I believe it. I mean, hey, maybe St. John's is tired. 3 emotional games at the Garden. Weird things happen this time of year.
You know who weird things happen to this time of year? Michigan State.
That is true.
I'm not calling my shot. I'm not bold enough to do it. But if Bryant shoots it well enough, they're a pretty good shooting team. Neutralize the transition and offensive rebounding advantages. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it, though. I can't do it.
Yeah, back to that St. John's Omaha game. Markel Sutton going right at Zuby. That's going to be, that may register on the Richter scale a couple times. Those guys fly into each other. The athleticism with the guards, too. I mean, Omaha's fast. They're quick. They're undersized, though. And St. John's is just so damn big and athletic. I think that's what's going to separate it.
See, and to that point, I think if Omaha is going to have a path to winning, I think it's got to be with big games from like J.J. White, Cam Thomas. Zuby is going to be on Markel.
Mm-hmm.
He is going to be the first priority.
Oh, yeah.
Those other guys are going to have to step up, hit some shots,
especially from three, because that's how you beat St. John's. Like the math problem, I've alluded to it all year, Austin, on this show and other shows. The math problem that Steph Curry taught the world, that 3 is worth more than 2. That's the way to beat St. John's. So that's the recipe. So we'll see how that comes into play. I don't think winning from 3 is going to come into play with their second round matchup either. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
That we will. Wilson, the people want to hear more from you. Please move that mic a little closer to your face. They value your input and your opinion, so they want to hear that.
Can you hear me all right?
That is the stuff right there. All right. Any of you care to join my son Beckett in picking Lipscomb over Iowa State?
No.
Down Keshawn Gilbert.
No, too many people in my life would know where to find me who would be quite angered with that result if I made that pick. I've still got people trying to talk me into going to Milwaukee too, so I gotta ride with the clown.
The luckiest team in the field, according to Ken Palm, is Montana. We know Jacob's not picking against his boy John Tonje. Wilson, are you willing to do it?
I am not, because my father is a graduate of the University.
Fine.
If I want a place to stay at next time I will take the Badgers. Not to mention the logical reasons of I saw this team play in person this year. They are really good, and Tonje is the kind of guy who can single-handedly win games, capture America's heart as he averages 30 a game in a Final Four run. Like he fits the profile of the kind of guy who can do that.
He's going to be in bounce back mode. Had his worst game of the season on Sunday. I could talk plenty about everything that went down in that game.
Redeemed him. Oh, not Sunday. Not
yeah,
Saturday.
Sunday.
I was going to say redeemed himself with the defensive play of the game at the end. That was the day before.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is that one of the risky? That's got to be one of the top 5 riskiest plays in all of college basketball.
Believe it.
You missed the free throw unintentionally. John Calipari would have told him to miss it, but that one wasn't intentional. And to go for the steal and actually get it, that's gutsy.
See, to me, it was like it's that kind of season. It is that kind of fairy tale storybook season. John Tonje has had that. Of course, he does that, and of course, it worked because that is the kind of year he has had.
Right. The other 3 versus 14 game is Texas Tech and Carolina Wilmington. I'm just going to assume we're all on Texas Tech in that one. Before we get to Kentucky and Troy, I've heard some people start to put a little bit of steam behind this game as one that Troy could potentially muck up. I think Kentucky with Lamont Butler back is just too much. And there's no way Mark Pope gets John Calipari to year 1, right?
You'd hope, right? You'd hope for Mark Pope. A little poetry. I can wordsmith every now and again. But I have heard this groundswell of grassroots Troy buzz as someone who was once a Sun Belt, Fun Belt sicko when I had friends in the league. I'm a little too high on Mark Pope, so we're looking quite chalky through the first three seed lines here, which I'm sure will not age like milk at all.
I'm with you. Give me the Cats. I think Pope has done a fantastic job in year one. A tough situation, had to bring in an entirely new team. I mean, that's the reality of coaches these days. He has done an incredible job with it.
Lost his entire point guard rotation as well until Lamont Butler gets back. Let's move through the 4-13 games. We get Texas A&M, Yale, Arizona, Akron. Then you have Purdue, High Point, and Maryland, Grand Canyon. Any one of those games that pique your fancy to talk about first, gents?
I'm not gonna say I'm like fully committed to this, but man, High Point, Purdue, juicy right there. Like
Wilson Moore driving the Husk bus.
The Husk bus being driven by Willie.
Purdue is not playing its best basketball at the moment. I think at their best, like firing on all cylinders, this might be the best team in the Big Ten. They certainly have the best player in the Big Ten, in my opinion. And he's a guy like Tanjay who can win some games in March. With that said, like it feels like this kind of perfect storm of factors coming into play. Of High Point is hitting its stride. Purdue has not looked like itself for a little bit. They haven't looked like the just dominant giant killer they were in January. I'm not going to go all the way, but man, like High Point is really tempting right there.
Jacob?
High Point is tempting. I think Yale's tempting too, and that is because it's one man, and that man is John Poulikitis. And I tuned in. I took a little small like a Costco sample of the Ivy League championship game and watched Yale, and I'm just like, people forget that team beat Auburn last year. That team beat Auburn last year. It's the Ivy League, so they're not really worried about the portal. They're not really worried about.
They've got advanced mathematical calculations.
They're you know what their NIL is? A degree from Yale. That's pretty good to have in your back pocket. So I'm intrigued by Yale. I'm intrigued by High Point as well as someone who is intrigued by the Husk bus. Arizona, Akron, sorry, Maction, John Gross, quite the comeback for the Zips in the MAC final. I also didn't know John Gross and Travis Steele are half brothers until I saw that on social media over the weekend. But yeah, those one, and then what's the other one? Oh yeah, Maryland, Grand Canyon. Sorry, Bryce Drew. I'm way too intrigued by the Terps. So
Lopes had their moment last year.
They did.
That's why
they did.
I know experience counts for something, but I will also roll with the Crab 5. I'm teetering on the edge. I'm teetering on the High Point edge right there. Can't do it. Arizona, I think, is finding its stride. That's a team that I think takes care of business against teams that should, and then maybe struggles in the upper levels. But gents, also today in NCAA tournament history, there's a very famous Yale-related moment. You know what I'm talking about.
Yale. Was this just 2 years ago when they beat? Was it Arizona?
It's Auburn with Chad Baker-Mazara, but that is not this moment. This one was against Baylor. The yellow highlighter jerseys, Torian Pringle. Just this day in history.
Go up and catch the ball
with your hands.
Yes.
Get it off the rim. Into the mic, Biggs. I can't hear you.
Sorry. Arizona is in Penn.
Sharpie?
Maryland.
Seth Davis style?
No. Well, I don't support that. Arizona's in Penn. Maryland's in Penn. I gotta really decide on these last two. You know what? Sorry, Matt Painter. I'm doing it.
I know I just rode that train for a while. I wrote down Purdue on this. I couldn't bring myself to go against one of the best players in the country, and I think one of the best coaches in the country too.
Yeah, I think that's fair. All right, we are through the 4 seeds. Maybe the matchup with the biggest buzz, I think one of the two is in this 5-12.
Do I have to recuse myself?
No, you are not allowed to recuse.
Okay.
we're got to start somewhere else right here, though. We're going to go with your Big Ten champs, Michigan, getting a 5 seed against a soon-to-be fan favorite in the UC San Diego Titans. Michigan is anywhere between a 2.5 and 4.5 point favorite right now. Michigan's bugaboo, the turnovers. They will give it away. What does San Diego do very well? They force turnovers. This is going to be a popular one. I got to roll with Michigan. I think they have just enough to get it done, but I think the eyes and the hearts of America will be at the Tritons in this one.
I'm with you there, Austin. That's going to be a really popular pick. But I think Michigan, in a way, as someone who's been, I don't want to say I've been at the forefront of the Dusty May, Michigan's good train this season. I think they did their best to put they're just lucky allegations to bed in Indianapolis over the weekend, cutting down nets, winning a Big Ten title after they finished dead last in the league. They literally go worst to first, last in the final season of the Juwan Howard era, and cutting down nets in Indianapolis, which I'm sure a bunch of Indiana boosters were happy to see. Dusty May cutting down nets in Indianapolis on Sunday afternoon.
Do we consider them going worst to first? I know they won the conference tournament, but this is where I'm going to stand on my soapbox. They didn't win the regular season credit.
I'm with you on that.
Thank you.
Michigan State won the league this year.
Yes.
They did. They did.
Let's see if you'll go this next step with me then, Wilson. Regular season champs should get auto bids, not conference tourney champs.
No, I'm not with you on that. I think that's the fun part of the conference tournament. That is what makes it fun to me. I think if you take away the auto bid, you take away the stakes, and
you take away this. Okay, fine, maybe, but also you think about these one bid leagues. Clearly the committee told us that Drake wouldn't have gotten in.
Yeah,
if they didn't win the Mo Valley. UC San Diego wouldn't have gotten in if they didn't win the Big West. And you get these, North Carolina State runs. And yes, I was personally victimized by the Wolfpack, and I'm still salty and bitter about that. And that plays in here. But to me, conference tournament should be extra games to improve your seeding. If you're in the tournament, great. If you need an extra quad 1 win, great, go get it. But if you don't, you had 31 opportunities.
See, I think if you do that, then you're going to start getting down the slippery slope of teams are going to want to rest guys during the conference tournament. They don't want I don't know. I want the conference tournaments to matter.
Fair enough. I can be convinced.
And look, and I am with you on the point of Duke and UCSD. I would much rather see the committee, be better. I don't out of his butt. Yeah.
Better at your jobs.
Yeah. Or, change the criteria, whatever it takes, so that good mid-major teams are getting over mediocre high-major teams.
We had this when we were growing up. Yeah. We had 3-bid Mo Valley. Yeah. And it's gone. It's sad. Oh, well. Let's keep moving along, though, the 5-12 games here. Oregon and Liberty. Liberty, I learned this today, has the highest effective field goal percentage in the nation. One of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country. Will it be enough for them, the Flames, to prevail against the Ducks?
I think that's going to be close. I think Oregon's vulnerable, but I've also thought Oregon was vulnerable all year. And this is Dana Altman's season. This is the time of year where
not lose in the first round.
No, this is the time of year where I'm sure there were people who watched the selection show. They're like, wait, Oregon, they're like Oregon did what? They're here again. This is when Dana gets it right and rights the ship. So I feel bad. I won't pick against Wilbur, Nebraska's favorite son quite yet. Especially when Liberty's on the other side. I could see that game being close just with if Liberty is super efficient, and I think they've made the remark on the selection show, if you want to beat Liberty, you got to score at least 74 points or something like that. It's because of how efficient and high scoring they can be. So I'm sure that'll be interesting, but that's not the 5-12 that has my attention.
I think we have the same 5-12 on our mind.
Obviously.
We have two really good ones. We have two fantastic 5-12 games left. And for every opportunity in this bracket where the committee didn't seem like it knew what it was doing, these last two 5-12s, it absolutely did. Let's start with Clemson and McNeese. Will Wade against the old alma mater. Cowboys got to the stage last year. Again, a very trendy pick, but fell to Gonzaga. Clemson ends up losing, was it Chase Hunter or Dylan Hunter to a broken hand?
Chase Hunter
to a broken hand. Thank you, Jacob.
Yep.
But they still enter the tournament as a 5 seed and ACC tournament semifinalist. I really want McNeese, man.
Give me McNeese in this one.
Wilson's got
Will
McNeese.
Wade.
I do too.
I've got
Oh, we
McNeese.
both do.
I do
Look,
too.
They have had too long of too much sustained success for it to be a fluke. I had them beating Gonzaga last year. They did not. They did not. But like when you have had 2 straight years of just storming through your conference, eventually that pays off, and eventually you get rewarded. And I think they beat Clemson.
I think there's going to be a lot on the mind of both of these coaches. Well, there's a lot of thoughts elsewhere with both of these coaches right now. Yeah, I mean, and also Will Wade's press conference yesterday was a great listen. Like he was like getting asked about Clemson, and he was like, "We don't practice on Saturdays in the fall, especially if Clemson's on." Like he's like I am still a huge Clemson football fan. We don't practice in the fall on Saturday. Like it means something to him. When he got into coaching, the staff at Clemson under Oliver Purnell was Shaka, young Will Wade, and a man whose name I forget that now has a role with the NCAA overseeing compliance.
Oh.
So that is a true, that is a fact, by the way. So Will Wade and that guy were already well acquainted. But we free Will Wade gang out here. Will Wade over Clemson gets it done, and probably his last ride in Lake Charles, Louisiana. He puts a stamp on it.
Cowboys' last ride.
The Cowboys' last ride.
I can't do it. I don't know how Clemson does it, but they do it.
That's fair.
They do it with Big Ten wannabe Ian Shefflin. They do it with one of the most highest rated lineups by Evan Miyakawa in the country.
Yeah.
And I don't understand it. It's a football school. It's a football school doing this in basketball. And Brad Brownell is going to go out on a higher note. So I got to roll with Clemson. And Wilson, make sure that door's locked. You and I can both jump to the rescue if Jacob tries to leave during this one. The game where the 12 seed is the favorite over the 5. Lean in the picture, Jacob. Lean in the picture. You're not escaping this one.
Yeah.
Colorado State favorites over Memphis in a 12-5 game. We're putting you on the spot, Jacob. You got to take this one away.
Oh, I mean, you know where I'm going. You know where my loyalties lie. Colorado State right now, they're arguably the hottest team in the country. They've won 10 straight. They've only lost once.
Hey, McNeese is 130 in a row.
Hey, you know what? Colorado State's only lost once since I made my way out to Fort Collins not that long ago for the Orange Out game. They've only lost once since. Did I bring the good voodoo? Did I fix the season? No, but people are asking. That is a thought that has crossed many people's minds. Memphis, they are still really athletic. They are still really fast. They are also still very careless with the basketball.
Mm-hmm. And they mess around. Yeah,
they mess around. They mess around. They play with their food. Colorado State, they'll just run good offense. They run beautiful offense. I mean, their offense is so fun to watch. I could listen to Nico Medved talk basketball. It could be like some people listen to white noise or like rainforest noises to fall asleep. Like, give me a Nico Medved walkthrough.
Okay, let's maybe redo that, right? Because you wouldn't want to fall asleep, right? I mean, interested in you wouldn't.
It would have my brain at peace. That's what I'm saying. Like, I would feel whole, complete. So I'm obviously going to take the Rams. Is there bias in that choice? Absolutely, there is, and I'm not going to shy away from my bias there. I think Nick Clifford. I mean, America. Get ready to learn Nick Clifford on Friday when he goes up against PJ Haggerty, Dane Danja, and the Tigers. I think Colorado State's got a great coach who people may be getting more familiar with here in the coming weeks. But I'm going full homer pick. I almost wore the shirt, Austin. I have a Colorado State basketball shirt at home. I almost wore it. I chose this one instead. Give me CSU.
But I see you are repping the Buzz City shirt there, where my Duke Blue Devils won the ACC tournament championship. In case you didn't hear it.
Obviously, no, we heard all about it.
Good. I'm glad you did. Wilson, are you joining Jacob in the hashtag Ramily?
You know why not? Why not?
There it is.
I think this game is really a toss-up. Mm-hmm. I think the turnaround Penny Hardaway has had at Memphis when his job looked dead in the water about a year ago, and the way he's turn this team around. Memphis has some dudes. Dane Danger has just quietly been one of my favorite players in the country. He was in like a bad place for his skill set at Illinois, but he is just quietly really good. With that said, one of my like guiding March philosophies is to go with the teams playing their best basketball in March.
Sure.
And I feel like Colorado State is really doing that in a Mountain West that is not as good this year as it was last year, but is still pretty solid.
I am still a little gun-shy to pick some Mountain West teams just because of how they flamed out last year.
Yeah.
Like, there was some really good basketball being played, but they didn't do anything. But it's not going to stop me. We're making it 3 for 3.
Hell yeah, we are. Hell yeah, we are.
Colorado State. All right, we're through the 5-12s. Let's keep working our way down the seed list. For the most part, working clockwise here. Let's start with the 11-seed play-in game here. San Diego State versus maybe the most contentious addition to an NCAA tournament in a long time in the North Carolina Tar Heels. Let's start with that aspect of it, guys. Carolina in, West Virginia out. How much are we buying the Bubba Cunningham effect for this one?
They didn't exactly give a very compelling defense. Like, that was they didn't overexert themselves in trying to convince us that, I don't know,
that it wasn't Bubba Cunningham.
Yeah. I don't know. Look, I don't. They didn't. Yeah. I don't know what happened in that. I just know they were not particularly interested in like telling us or like putting anyone's doubts at ease.
Yeah. Let's quell this. Let's quell. Let's calm people down. No, we're not going to do that. I will be full forthright as someone who watched this North Carolina team play basketball when they were ranked in the top 10. I thought at that time this team might suck. And guess what the rest of their season told me? They suck. They aren't very good. That's that team, it is borderline criminal that they're in the NCAA tournament. Their prize for being in the NCAA tournament is going up against a meat grinder, a team that is the definition of, we may not be very skilled, but we're tougher than you, in San Diego State and Brian Dutcher. So, I will not watch this game out of protest. I cannot stand for North Carolina's inclusion. If when I walked past Bubba Cunningham in November, I knew what would transpire all these months later, I would have maybe given him a piece of my mind. But and here we are now. So North Carolina, and they're probably going to end up winning that game too. Somehow, I hate to say it, they're probably going to end up winning that game. But those are my thoughts on what is probably a felony in multiple states, the grand larceny committed by the Tar Heels to get into the NCAA.
Well, the West Virginia governor did try to sue today. I think you both saw that. So
I did see that.
That'll help.
All right.
That'll help. Your basketball program doesn't have other things to worry about.
Let's assemble the super friends of Joe Mazzulla and Pat McAfee. That'll help you guys, right?
Yeah.
Ole Miss is a weird one for me, regardless of who they play in this one, because when I think of Chris Beard, I think of the up-tempo, turnover, kind of havoc-style defense from his Stephen F. Austin days. But this is an offense-first Ole Miss team. Mm-hmm. And maybe I need to update my priors, but whenever I see a Chris Beard defense philosophy coach all of a sudden switch to getting buckets, I'm a little skeptical. Ole Miss is good, but I think they're ripe for an upset. I'm just not buying that scheme shift from Ole Miss. So I don't really care who the winner is.
But I'm
taking the 11 here.
See, I just can't. I can't with either of those teams. And that's just my, humble brag. I've seen both of those teams play in person this season. But I just can't. I can't with what's left of my cold heart and my pea-sized brain.
I thought we warmed it back up with Colorado State.
A little bit, yes. But I cannot willingly pick either of those teams to win an NCAA tournament game. I can't.
I like Ole Miss here.
Okay.
I get from this conversation I'm a bit higher on the Rebels than you two. Give me Ole Miss here.
Yeah. All right. I respect it. I see it. Let's move across the bracket here to the East region. You get BYU and VCU, the other hashtag Ramley here against BYU, another team that is incredibly hot, playing its best basketball in March. Is that why you're picking the Cougars, Wilson?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I
Mr.
mean,
Consistency. I love it.
yeah, I mean, yeah, they're playing well. I think similar to what I said about Kentucky and Mark Pope, they had to restructure a lot, and they did a great job. They've I think one of the kind of funnier subplots of the NIL era of the past 4 years is BYU just becoming this like random powerhouse in football and men's basketball. But
they spell more money without Mormon.
Yeah, I mean, but they're playing the same like style they were last year under Mark Pope, where it's just hey, we're gonna show up and jack up a bunch of 3-pointers, and in March that can be a dicey proposition because all it takes is one cold shooting night. But on the other hand, that means you can run a team out of the gym, and I think VCU is very good. They just won their conference tournament, but yeah, I like the Cougars here.
I'm with you. Shout out to my guy, BYU assistant coach Brandon Dunson. That's it.
Oh, your guy, casually drafting my guy.
My guy.
Cool. Thanks, Jacob.
Humble brags.
We'll make it a clean sweep for BYU here as well. I'm not as sold on VCU. They're good. They're tough. I just don't know.
Hey, you want to talk about another matchup where a coach is thinking elsewhere?
Well,
Ryan Odom.
do we just assume he's already got that job? Is that just
I mean, it feels like it, which is like the ultimate Shakespearean twist, right? Doesn't that feel like well, assuming we're talking about the same job. Do you mean Villanova or Virginia?
I mean Virginia.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that is the ultimate Shakespearean twist. The guy who's the first 16 seed to beat a 1 seed beat UVA, and who's going to be the guy to succeed Tony full time? The guy who beat him when he was the number 1 overall seed. That's the ultimate Shakespearean twist. So
it's college basketball's version of #ThisLeague.
Something like that. It's up there. It's up there.
Moving down, let's go to what region is this? I got them mixed up. Midwest region. We have Illinois versus the play-in winner of Texas and Xavier. I am not inspired by either of those two play-in teams necessarily. X-Men were playing a little bit better. Texas had a nice run in the SEC tournament. Guys, I'm not going to lie. I want Illinois here. They are so streaky. They are so hard to pin down. I can see Illinois making it out of this one, maybe out of the first weekend. I just don't love those two play-in teams. So I'm going to roll with Illinois in this one.
I have been aboard the Illinois train for a while now.
All right.
Kasparis Yakichonis might have been my favorite player to watch in the Big Ten this year. Mm-hmm. And for a long time this season, I thought Illinois was in that kind of top tier of Big Ten teams.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to make of them at this point. I thought they looked like it again until they got blasted by Maryland in the Big Ten tournament. But I just think this team is so talented and so athletic that they're absolutely someone who can, like you said, get out of the first weekend. And I think they have more talent than a 6 seed would suggest, even if they didn't put it all together this season, dealt with a lot of injuries.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are taking. There's the benefit of having 3 people. I don't have to say much more if I'm going third. I like you said, Austin. I'm not really inspired by either of those two playing teams. You want to talk about a pod where, regardless, I will like no coaches affiliated in that matchup. Brad Underwood, Gus Fring. I mean Rodney Terry, or Sean Miller. And yeah, you want to know a hot take? If Texas wins that game. There could be a job swap in that game if it's Texas-Illinois.
Hello.
I'm not saying Rodney Terry to Illinois. That's all I'm saying. I'll leave it at that. I think there could be Jeff Goodman. How do you look in orange? AKA more orange. So I'm gonna just throw that grenade and walk out of the room. Give me Illinois.
I like it. All right. Then the final 6-11 is another one that I know a lot of people have been buzzing about. It's Missouri. Talk about a turnaround from winless in the SEC to the NCAA tournament. They draw Missouri Valley champion Drake, who was in themselves an upset pick last year. They were not able to get it done against. They had Washington State, right?
Correct.
Yes. All right, Jake, we'll start with you. Missouri or Drake?
I'm going to default to the Missouri alum in the room.
Okay.
No one in this room has watched more Missouri basketball than Wilson Morris. So I'm going to default to the Missouri alumnus that is among us tonight.
Okay.
So, when this matchup came across the board, my first thought was, I do not like that for my alma mater, the University of Missouri. This Drake team is crazy good. They clearly have a fantastic coach. Players who are clearly much better than Division II a season ago, and you knew wherever they went, they were going to be the trendy upset pick, 5-12, 6-11, whatever. And I did not love the idea of seeing Mizzou run into that situation. With that said, Drake is a very small team.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a whole lot of size. They are much more finesse than they are brute force.
Power, rough and tumble. Yeah.
Missouri's best player is Mark Mitchell. And I can see he plays for the school I went to now.
He does. Which is good. I'm rooting for Mark. I do. Mark Mitchell wouldn't get minutes on this Duke team.
Anyway, I can also see a situation where Mizzou just goes to Mark Mitchell down low time and time again, and Drake doesn't have anyone with the brute force, with the size to stop them. So with that in mind,
M-I-Z?
Z-O-U. I will take the Missouri Tigers to go on to the second round for the second time in a very long time.
Bigger glow up, Mark Mitchell, Tamar Bates.
It's interesting because I covered Tamar Bates when he was at Indiana. I'll say Tamar Bates just because his whole thing at Indiana was he was very streaky. He would have a game, usually in the non-conference, where he would go like 7 for 11 from 3, score 28 points, and then he would also disappear for stretches that time. At Mizzou, he has been much more consistent. He has taken on much more of a role of like the guy on the perimeter. They also have Caleb Grill, but just Tamar being a guy who like has to show up day in, day out, has to be the guy who hits shots, has to be a leader on this team. Because he was one of the guys. He went through the mud last year. He was on that winless in the SEC team last year. So I think he's just developed a lot. But yeah, I like that question.
Jacob?
I'm with Wilson. I'm not saying that just because I like him a little bit. He knows what he's talking about. But I completely agree. And there's there are fewer people who own more Ben McCollum stock than me. I think just there's more ways for Missouri to win this game, just based on their roster makeup, their athleticism. I think Drake would have to be like surgically precise with so much that they do, and it would be, and Missouri remains. This has been the case in the entire Dennis Gates era. Like they're the ultimate. Oh, that's where that guy went. Team, like they're the ultimate. Like they're like, oh, that guy's at Missouri now. That makes sense. But between like you talking about Tamar and Caleb Grill, and then like Tony Perkins. Remember when Tony Perkins went in the portal and people were like, "Ooh, Tony Perkins." It's like he's at Missouri now too. I'll take the Tigers.
I feel like one of us has to take Drake.
My head and my gut are telling me Missouri, but I'm too chalky. So you know what? I'll bite the bullet. I'll do it. I'll take Drake. I don't love it, but like you said, someone's got to. Austin Norman, Jacob Bigelow, Wilson Moore with you here on the Corner 3. We're going through our brackets. Don't forget you can be a part of the show by texting in 402-464-5685. Drop a comment on stream on YouTube or Twitter. It'll pop up and we will see it. Let's just stick in that same region, head down to the 7-10 games here. Bill Self in Kansas against John Calipari and Arkansas up in Providence for the right to hopefully face Chris Crutchfield and the Mavs, but more than likely Slick Rick Pitino and the St. John's Johnnies. I'm going to go Arkansas on this one. I am so uninspired by Kansas. I do not like them. I do not like what they stand for. I hate their two bigs, and Arkansas is playing better right now. Kansas is the better team. They've proven more. I think Cal's got something to prove, though, right? They put us in the coffin. They just didn't give us the nails or whatever, right? That is such a tough quote. I love that. I feel like Cal's got to bounce back in. I got Arkansas in the first round.
I could get up on my soapbox.
You need to. And you have time. You have space. Please.
So, like, I have a lot of unhealthy relationships in this life, Austin.
Have you thought about changing that?
That's an incredible first sentence wherever this is going.
One of the most unhealthy relationships I have is with the basketball program at the University of Kansas. As someone who paid real American dollars to watch this iteration of Kansas play basketball. No, Austin, not once.
Twice?
Not twice, Wilson. 3 times! Thrice! And I was disappointed in Kansas every single time. last year's Kansas team, Bill Self had a heart attack. The fact that this Kansas team has not killed him is a miracle. Like, I don't know if they have his cardiologist on standby. There is no player that I will pop a bottle of champagne when Hunter Dickinson's college career comes to a close, and I never have to watch him play a college basketball game again. The Kansas basketball that I grew up with the high-low game, they don't play it. They don't play the Kansas basketball that I grew up watching that made me, fall in the trap of the aura of Kansas and the history and, Allen Fieldhouse and ha. All of that, that's gone. That doesn't exist anymore. Fairy dust, it's gone. John Calipari doesn't just need to win this game for himself. He needs to win this game for America. He needs to win. He needs to win this game for the sports. He is already firing off zingers. He had the watch party at his house, and Big Z asked him, "Where's Providence?" And he said, "In the United States." He's already firing off zingers. This sport needs John Calipari against Rick Pitino in Providence, Rhode Island. A part of the country where both of them have coached. Mm-hmm. Rick has coached at Providence. Cal was at UMass. Like, it all comes back to the East Coast. Woo pig and good riddance to this Kansas team.
Wilson, try to follow that up, please.
Yeah, I'll take Arkansas. This is a vibes based pick. Mm. Kansas's vibes have been atrocious all season long.
You don't say.
Yeah, so everything about Kansas's profile from starting the season number 1 in the country to just the wheels falling off, all of that just screams first round exit. So I'll take Arkansas.
Are we officially moving to pronouncing the state Kansas after this? Is it still Kansas? Or do we repronounce the state? How far do we go?
Kansas.
The loser takes the winner's pronunciation.
Yeah, the winner.
Yes.
Yeah, the winner.
It's just like Jason Tatum and Nicholas Batum in the Olympics.
Yeah.
So it's Nicholas Batum right now. So they'll further notice. Moves along the 7-10s, UCLA and Utah State. Not anti-Utah State. The ride that program has been on, changing coaches, the drop of a hat is incredibly impressive. I do like UCLA, though. I'm a Mick Cronin guy. Intrigued by these Mick Cronin to Villanova rumors I'm hearing pop up, but I still think UCLA have just enough to get this one done and set up a date with Rick Barnes in Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm with you on UCLA. It's Pitino season. We've talked plenty about Pitino, but Mick Cronin went full Pitino midway through this season. Talked about how much his team sucks and how lazy they are, and his post games became popcorn fodder for many. And maybe not many, just me. But I was tuned in for Rick Pitino Theater. Shout out to, if I had Rick Pitino's money, I'd be in Cabo right now. I've never been. How is it this time of year? The quote of the year from Mick Cronin. It's up there. It's up there for basketball quote of the year.
Toby Lawal, though.
Oh, yeah. Toby Lawal. We know that one too. That one, it's like, I want to have a dramatic Academy Awards they just show all the clips and everyone's in the audience. Mick, Toby Lawal, everyone would be there. Maybe they'll do that in San Antonio at the Final Four. But give me the Bruins. Jared Calhoun. Feels like Utah State's going to be on their 4th coach in 4 years. Because if West Virginia comes open, look no further than Bob Huggins' disciple Jared Calhoun to maybe take the reins in Morgantown. But I'll take UCLA.
Yeah, I'll take UCLA here. I think the Bruins had a weird year.
Yeah.
But they're a solid team. They've proven that. I think they beat Utah State.
We got a couple more 7-10s to go, and I don't know which direction I want to go with this one. Let's go to the East region here. Let's do St. Mary's and Vandy. St. Mary's is the team that I can't quit. I have been waiting for the Gales to make their run. I thought they deserved that run that San Diego State had to the Final Four and beyond. That's what I have been wanting for St. Mary's. I saw that program up close-ish and personal in Sioux Falls. I like Randy Bennett, really good coach. I can't trust them. I am jumping off the St. Mary's train after next game. I'm taking the Gales. Vandy's fun. Basketball Sigs is intriguing to me. Basketball Sigs. That's what Mark Byington is right now. But
I just have too much respect for St. Mary's. I can't have them bowing out in the first round. I'm going to go with the Gales. Wilson, to you.
Yeah, I'll take St. Mary's. Saw them in person this year and was very impressed. They're big, they're tough, they're physical.
Love me some Goose.
Yeah, that can that can win games in March. I think they beat Vandy.
Right there with you. 3 for 3.
All right.
Shout out Randy Bennett.
Now back to Patino season. We get Marquette and New Mexico in the 7-10 game for the right to, again, most likely face Michigan State. Marquette's another one of those programs for me that, like, as a kid growing up, I love the uniforms, love the colors. It wasn't a huge D. Wade guy. Jimmy Buckets got me turned on him a little bit. Marcus Howard, Hauser brothers. Like, there's just something about Marquette that I love. They have been a wild disappointment to me this year. I have not been impressed with Marquette. I'm going with Rich Pitino. I'm taking the Lobos in this 7-10 game. I'm doing it.
You beat me to it. You beat me to it. I'm on the Lobos too. Give me all. I mean, Donovan Dent. I'm all in on Donovan Dent. He's going to be quite sought after this offseason, I think. But he's one of the most fun players to watch in the country. There's an alternate timeline where John Tonje and JT Toppin are still on this team. And New Mexico may be a Final Four team, but that's an alternate. That's an alternate universe. That is a universe that does not exist. But I will. Yeah, I'll take Richard, and I'll take the Lobos.
Man, when I wrote New Mexico down, I thought I was going to be alone on that one.
Really? You are not. You are not. We are all in on the Lobos, and I believe that leaves us with the 8-9 matchup. Let's stick in the South region. Louisville, de facto home game against Creighton in an 8-9 matchup. Starting to see some more conspiracies trickle out about this one, that the committee got Memphis and Louisville's resumes switched around, which, I mean, 18-2 in the ACC compared to Memphis winning the American. I can see it. I'm not buying it.
Disrespectful to the ACC. Like 18-2 in a high major conference. I know it's a down year, but still, man, that is tough to be an 8 after that.
And they get Creighton in a de facto home game. Are we rolling with the Cards or are we rolling with the Jays?
I've got the Cardinals.
Okay.
I think, playing a home game, I think that's big. I think Louisville is better than an 8 seed. I think Creighton's better than a 9 seed.
Right now.
To be completely honest, yeah. But I don't know. I just feel like I can trust Louisville a little more. I feel like they have I feel like their talent is diffused a little bit more. You know, with Creighton, I think there's always wondering of, like, if Ashworth isn't hitting shots, you know, if Culk's having an off day, who do they look to? You know, Jemiah Neal has had his moments, Jackson McAndrew. But I just feel like Louisville is a little more built to handle kind of the ups and downs that you see over the 40 minutes of an NCAA tournament game.
I like it. Jacob?
Yeah, I'm on a similar wavelength. I want to know Rain Smith's status. I know that's kind of up in the air for Louisville right now. I think Chucky Hepburn is about to have, as Stephen Ashworth described himself, a 6-foot-tall white kid. I think he's about to be taking up residence in Chucky Hepburn's pocket for 40 minutes at Rupp Arena on Thursday. That's a tough draw for Creighton. I think both of these teams got screwed in their own, then one way or another. But I think Louisville's defense is just that's been what I've been the most impressed with, because the injuries that they dealt with at the beginning of the year, you know, you could have easily counted them out and been like, well, you know, there's year 2. It'll be year 2 for Pat. Like, you know, they got all these injuries and they got to, you know, patchwork it, and they still went 18-2, and they, you know, were in the ACC title game, right? I'm not getting that twisted.
You're not.
And it's also tough for me and my biases to pick against Chucky Hepburn this time of year. Just from my own experience, it's tough to pick against Chucky Hepburn this time of year. So give me Louisville.
Well, did you do it last year against James Madison?
No.
How'd that work out for you?
Bad.
Yeah. Well, you're picking for Chucky out of love. I'm picking against Creighton out of spite. Long time or short time viewers of this program ought to know that. I will not root for Creighton's success. I will not do it. You cannot make me do it. So I am taking the Cards to set up a fun matchup in the round of 32 against Auburn. All right, here's the biggest storyline that I'm paying attention to as a Duke fan. There's no way we don't get Duke versus Jeremy Roach. Like, this was cosmically manifested. I do not trust Baylor. They are fun. They are small. They are incredibly talented. I think Mississippi State could punk Baylor. I really do. I think that they could take him to the doghouse, beyond the woodshed, whatever you want to say. I think that's on the table. Y'all's vibes game was Cal over Self to set up the matchup with Patino. I've watched enough Duke basketball in my life to know that Jeremy Roach gets a shot at Duke. So this was one of the quickest picks I could make all year.
I'm not going to argue with you on that one.
I'm give me Chris Jans. I'm taking the Dogs. I've hated this Baylor team all year. I don't have a soliloquy about this Baylor team like some of its fellow conference mates. But yeah, give me the Dogs. I think Chris Jans has done a great job since he got there. You want to talk? I mean, a lot has been made about the SEC, and the basketball league that it's become, and whatever. You want to talk about a place where basketball is an afterthought? I will gladly take you to Starkville, Mississippi. Basketball is not has not really been thought about much there. I'll take Mississippi State.
2 more 8-9s to go. I think we're all going to take the Dogs in some form or fashion in this one. Gonzaga and Georgia. I'm not buying Georgia. They're weird. I like Ace Anua. I just don't think he's ready for Graham Ike. I don't see Gonzaga having many problems. Any disagreements on that one?
No.
Okay, and then that leaves us with UConn and Oklahoma. I will tell you, if Oklahoma was an 11 seed, sneaky first 4 to Final Four pick. But because they're a 9, I think they're getting maybe a little bit too much credit from the committee. As much as I want to see Dan Hurley go from back-to-back to first-round exit, I just think there's too much UConn.
How much does this Oklahoma team just make the end of Nebraska's season that much more painful?
Man.
Like honestly, how much does seeing Oklahoma on a 9 line make you think about the way Nebraska's season ended and just damn, this team. I'm thinking UConn too. Oklahoma. I don't even know if Oklahoma deserves to be here. Let alone on the 9 line. Sorry, SEC. Sorry to a friend of mine in that league office. I don't know if Oklahoma even deserves to be in this tournament. So I'll take the Huskies.
I'm with you on that. I've been underwhelmed by Oklahoma all year, and I really thought they got propped up by SEC bias.
Fair enough. All right, we have made it to the Sweet 16. Let's just go back to going it clockwise as best we can here. Let's just do this by region. So we'll start in the South region, make our way through till we have our Final Four pick out of the top left. Auburn and Louisville. Again, game being played in Lexington, 80-mile bus ride or so for Louisville. Auburn on a bit of a skid, not adhering to the Wilson Mooreism of player best basketball in March, but they went basically wire to wire as number 1 in the country. One of the best players in the country in Janai Broom. Wilson, we'll start with you. Are you taking the overall number 1, or are you taking Louisville in the home game?
I would love to take Louisville knocking off number 1, but I still think Auburn's a little too talented. I know they're not playing their best basketball, but they in the totality of this season, they were the best team in the country, and I think they handle Louisville.
Question for you, Duke guy.
Okay.
Was Auburn still getting the number 1 overall seed infuriating to you?
No, I understood it. I think there's enough momentum and speed behind Auburn as one of the best teams in the sport all year that I wasn't surprised by it. If they would have lost in the SEC quarters, or they did, right? No, they made the semis.
Yes, because they lost to Tennessee, right?
To Tennessee, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, there's just too much momentum behind Auburn for too long. Despite their mini swoon at the end of the season, I'm not upset about it. There was a very outside path for Duke, but I think the narrative was pretty much already written. If Duke would have dominated Carolina, that maybe would have helped. I don't know if Louisville or Clemson, which one would have moved the needle more. I was hoping for it, but I wasn't holding on to hope that there was anything outside of a 3% chance that enough members of the committee, 111 brackets, had Auburn number 1 overall. So I wasn't holding on to hope that much. Would have been interested, would have been intrigued. I thought Duke did pretty much everything you could ask, especially without Cooper Flagg to make a case for the overall number 1. But no, I'm not infuriated by it.
Okay. Well, with that said, War Eagle, Auburn wins.
Oh, so you can pick against Chucky Hepburn.
I can.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, let's make it a clean sweep. I know Auburn's been on the struggle bus a little bit, but I think the time off is gonna end up being good for them. I really want this to be the game that Chad Baker-Mazara goes full Chad Baker-Mazara nuclear warhead on us. I just don't think that's the case. Do we all have Michigan and A&M in the Sweet 16?
Second round.
Or
Sweet
second
16's the next
round. Sorry. Second round.
Yes.
Okay.
we do.
Wilson, we'll start with you. Michigan A&M.
Give me the Aggies.
Aggies. Okay.
I've liked Michigan this whole year. I can't shake the feeling they have spent this entire season living on the edge. I forget what their record is in games decided by like 5 or fewer points, but
Good, good.
Ridiculous. And I know they're a well-coached veteran team, and that's part of it. But I just feel like at some point that comes back to you. And we've seen this Texas A&M team. I saw them last year sitting courtside, and they have a lot of the same guys, just really athletic. They will offensive rebound you out of the gym. Give me Texas A&M.
Jacob?
As much as it pains me, I agree. It was a fun ride, Dusty May. It was a fun year in Michigan basketball. T's and P's to whoever in the media corps has to listen to this Buzz Williams postgame presser, because it's going to be a long one, A&M to the Sweet 16.
I got the Wolverines. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I think that they got some confidence from this Big Ten title run. And this is one that I just think their size is going to be a little bit too much. I know they turn it over. I know that could lead to some easy opportunities for A&M. Michigan shoots it well enough. They do enough little things well. And again, minor spite pick. So sorry, not sorry to WT4. I'll start off with my round of 32 game here between Iowa State and I'm picking San Diego State over Carolina. I got Iowa State. Even without Keshawn Gilbert, I am in on the Cyclones. I still think there's a lot there. I'm a TJ Otzelberger guy, so I will have the Cyclones advancing to the Sweet 16.
I do too, and they beat Ole Miss. I think that the thing with Iowa State, and they got up to as high as number 3 in the country. I think when I watched them, they were number 3 in the country, and then they kind of.
I went and watched them in Hilton.
That's me. I gotta have something to be prideful of in this life, Austin. The whole, they're Iowa State basketball, that's just dudes who fit a style. They don't have any top 100 recruits. They don't have any 5 stars. That's just dudes. That's just a group of under-recruited, sometimes undersized dudes who just fit a scheme. They take after their coach. And I think that they can still win multiple games in this tournament, despite, getting down to the 3 line. There are going to be plenty. If you're a Busch Light distributor in the Milwaukee metro area, you are licking your chops this week because the Clones are coming to town. And I think they're going to be leaving town, headed to the Sweet 16.
Ask Kansas City for their leftover.
Yeah. You want to, imagine being a Kansas City bar owner. And your Big 12 semifinals includes BYU. Iowa State's still there. Iowa State fans went home. I think Kansas City's mayor posted on his social media is "Dear Iowa State fans, please stay." I'm pretty sure that was real. He said there's stuff to do here outside of basketball. We love you, Iowa State fans. But give me the Clones.
Yeah, I thought from a lot of this year, Iowa State was one of the best teams in the country. Rough patch in the middle of the season, but I still think they're a very deep and talented team.
We have Jason on YouTube saying San Diego State wins and runs Ole Miss out of the gym. Okay. Here's the thing. San Diego State doesn't really run people out of the gym with their style, but I could definitely see them winning that. And then we are on to Tom Izzo versus Rich Pitino in a 2-10 matchup. We got Sparty or the Lobos. Wilson, who do you got?
Sparty.
Okay.
It will be until the day Tom Izzo retires. I am not betting against him.
You're a January, February Izzo guy?
I am. Okay. Yeah. And I really do think this is his best team. Actually, you know what? I didn't think they were very good last year, and I was proven right by that. But I truly think this is Izzo's best team since the 2019 Final Four, and I think they get close to that this year.
You had to say it. All right, Jacob.
See, I'm tempted. I'm really tempted.
Oh. Tell me more. Tell me more. Whisper sweet New Mexico's in my ear.
Austin, I was raised by the Big Ten, but my heart belongs to the Mountain West. And I have watched this New Mexico team play so much this season, and they are so damn fun. They are so damn fun. They did lose to Tim Miles, but they are so damn fun. That's no slight at you, Coach. You're not watching this, but I love you, Tim. There's a whole.
Send it to him.
This is the first this is the first game where I'm tempted to go anti, but I will stick with Michigan State because I think not only is this Izzo's best team in a while, this is by far his best coaching job in a while, and this is Tom Izzo's way of saying like, reports of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. Look what I did with this team. I've still got it. And Michigan State, Iowa State. That would be a joy to watch.
Getting big 2009 vibes all over again from that one. You guys are gonna make me break the tie, and I so badly want to pick against Michigan State. I do not like this team. I do not like the style they play. I do not understand them. Right? That's so many guards. Their posts, what do they do? What exactly would you say you do here? I'm not anti-Frankie Fiddler. I don't know relative to expectations.
One of their posts wears double armbands. He wears double armbands.
Cohen Carr is fun, but is he a good basketball player? No. I don't understand Michigan State. I want New Mexico to win. I can't pull the trigger on it. I can't do it.
I am interested to see who the next Michigan State point guard to wear the number 5 and a headband is going to be, though. That's the gift that keeps on giving. They just keep bringing them in.
It is. All right. So I have Auburn, Michigan, and Michigan State, Iowa State in the Sweet 16 there in the South region. I'm going to pick Auburn, and I'm going to pick Iowa State to be my Elite Eight in the South region. I'm doing it. I'm going for it. Not exactly chalky, feels really chalky on this side of things, but that's where I end up. Jacob, your Elite Eight in the South region is who?
See, I'd love the Maui rematch because that game in Maui was so fun. And it was in November, so people have probably forgotten about it, and I got to watch it. And I got to watch it with
Were you there too?
No, I was not. But I did get to watch it with like the biggest Iowa State fans I know, and like their soul left their body as Iowa State blew that lead, and I just was an innocent bystander to watching it take place. So I would love to join you in that, and I really hate being the chalk guy, but I think the matchup with Michigan State, like you like no Keyshawn Gilbert, Michigan State is giving me, I don't want to say like Team of Destiny vibes because like they won the regular season and they could win the Big Ten tournament, but I mean it just feels like it's their time, so I got to go Auburn and Sparty, unfortunately.
I'm going to take my first real big stand on this one. And I have the Texas A&M Aggies, a team Austin does not have leaving the first round, taking down the number 1 overall seed, Auburn. I am sticking to my guiding philosophy of teams playing well in March, and I just think Auburn peaked a little bit too soon. And again, I will admit this is another vibes-based pick. You will see this as a theme. But I think I've got Texas A&M going to the Elite Eight to play Michigan State.
Okay. That is a blue-collar game.
Yeah.
Wow. Is that the Chad Baker-Mazara blow-up? Or does Auburn get by without one?
That's a good question.
It's like,
they get by without one.
Is A&M enough to bring that out of Chad Baker-Mazara?
I think so.
They're a frustrating team to play against. I feel like there's something about teams that excel on the offensive glass that is just so demoralizing to play against.
If Buzz Williams is wearing a vest, Chad Baker-Mazara blow up. If Buzz Williams does not have a vest, no blow up. That's my pick.
All right. That brings us to the Elite Eight in the South region. I've got Auburn and Iowa State. I'm going to take Auburn. I'm going to go chalk here. I think I have to. I'm impressed by Auburn. I don't like them. The fact that their first loss for a while was a true road game at Cameron. I came away impressed with Auburn. I mean, let's not forget how Auburn lost that game. It was the Isaiah Evans coming out party for the first time all year. I've still got some residual respect for Auburn. So I don't think it's going to be easy for them. I could see them getting in tight games against Louisville. Maybe I think Michigan Devil Magic could pop up and get them. But I do think that in the end, Auburn's depth would overcome the Iowa State team down Keyshawn Gilbert in the Elite Eight. So Auburn is my South Region Final Four representative. You two fight it out for who goes next.
I'm on Auburn too. Sorry, Tom Izzo. I think they just have been like Auburn has felt like Thanos. Like I am inevitable. Like that's what they've kind of felt like all year. And I think if for their season to end anywhere other than San Antonio would be quite shocking to me.
Yeah, I have Michigan State here.
Okay. A whopping 2 seed. Ooh.
Big Ten boy.
Of any of us, Wilson, you were probably raised on the most Big Ten, right?
Yeah, probably, because what year did Nebraska join? 2011. Yeah, so for you guys it started then. For me, I was born into this.
You merely embraced the Big Ten. Wilson was born in it, molded by it.
Let's move across the bracket. Let's hit up the East region. I'm just going to make this simple.
We know what you're doing.
You know where I'm going.
I'm
just going to pencil it in all the way. I'm taking the Blue Devils of Duke all the way. Wouldn't shock me if Jeremy Roach goes off. Wouldn't shock me if Tyrese Proctor and Deion James stuff him in a locker. Love Jeremy. He does not deserve to go out that way. But that's how I see it. That one going. Any differing opinions on the top of that bracket?
The top, no.
Okay.
Sorry, the top, no. Yeah.
Okay. I have Arizona and Oregon. Did we all end up there?
Yes.
Okay. Give me the Ducks.
Really?
I'm taking the Ducks in this one. I don't know why. This is another kind of vibes pick for me. Arizona's been hot. Arizona's been playing well. Maybe it's rooting for my priors, but
I know what you're looking to avoid with that pick. Austin.
You know exactly what
I know exactly what you're looking to avoid.
It would be too perfect for Caleb Love to get another crack at Duke, and my heart cannot take that. I would be sitting on the couch with this game if it happens with my face buried in a pillow. I would not watch a second of this game. I would be far too scared to do it. I would much rather take my chances with the 6-foot Jackson Shelstad than anything having to do with seeing Arizona a second time. So I'm going to take Dana to the Sweet 16 in that one. I am.
I'm on the Cats. Bear down. Tommy Lloyd, Caleb Love. You're getting Austin. If your guys are going to go to the Final Four, they're going to have plenty of narratives along the way. You have the Jeremy Roach game. I mean, Caleb Love's last ride has to include Duke. Like it has to include Duke. So I'll take Arizona.
And it wouldn't be cosmic retribution for Duke to beat him, right? There's no making up for what happened at the end of K's tenure. And if you can promise me that Duke undoes the Derek Williams thing in 2011, if you can promise me that Duke starts to undo the Caleb Loving, then yes, I will take beating Arizona for a second time. I just don't want it. I would rather see Oregon, and I'll get to that game here in a little bit. No. So, Wilson, over to you.
Yeah, I got Arizona.
Okay.
I need to see Duke and Arizona's jerseys on the same court. Like those are like yeah. I just got those are the two middle school when Shields came to town, everybody had either the Duke shorts or the Arizona shorts or the Carolina shorts if you had bad taste. But it was those
you just named the best color scheme of those three.
Oh,
but they have Argyle.
But the Argyle, brother. I agree. But I think, there's something about Duke and Arizona. I am a nostalgia merchant, so those two jerseys on the same court just will make me feel warm and fuzzy.
All right. 3-6 game is Wisconsin and BYU. I'm taking the Cougs. Playing some really good basketball right now. Nothing personal against Tanjay. This is personal against Greg Gard. I have been on this program's downfall for so long. I know Wisconsin's getting some sleeper Final Four hype. BYU, maybe some whispers here or there. I like Igor Demine. I really do. I like him. I like the way that they play. I think BYU can get hot for 2 games. They can get hot for 1 weekend. And I would love the stylistic matchup that they could potentially be facing with either Alabama or St. Mary's there. So I'm going to take the Cougs. I'm going to do it.
I can't.
Me either.
I can't.
I just think at some point Greg Gard's going to break through. And I think this has been his best coaching job of his career at Wisconsin. Going into this year, I thought he was sneaky on the hot seat just in terms of how long he had been there and how little tournament success they've had. I think this season significantly cools that.
Fair enough. Which brings us to the bottom half of this region. We have Alabama and St. Mary's. At least that's what I have. I am taking the Tide in this one. This is where I think St. Mary's offense just gets too bogged down. They can't keep up with Bama.
Roll Tide.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, so then we get BYU and Alabama. This is where I do think that the BYU runs out of steam. I think, again, pretty high-scoring game. I wouldn't be shocked if this is, mid-80s or above, maybe Big 12 championship level scores. But Alabama has diversified a little bit. I think they can get a stop or two when it matters. We'll see about the Grant Nelson availability. That does have me raising my eyebrows a little bit at this one, but ultimately, I do think the Tide rolls. Jacob, we'll start with you here for John Tonje, the 3-seeded Wisconsin Badgers against Mark Sears in Alabama.
So this should be a reunion. This should be an Omaha Central reunion. But Latrell Wrightsell tore his ACL at the start of the year. Alabama tweeted out a graphic like he died. He is very much alive. He is not dead. He will be back, and he will be back in Tuscaloosa next year. So this should be an Omaha Central reunion. And my cornball self probably would have wound up in Newark. But I'll take the Tide.
Give me the Badgers.
Ooh! Big Ten showing.
Big Ten boy.
Oh, just you wait.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't know. I just, like I said, John Tonje is having that kind of like folk hero type season that I just think
that Mark Sears had last year almost.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I will say, just to go over my Duke-Oregon pick really quickly here, this is where I think John Shire makes up for Coach K and Dylan Brooks in the handshake line. People forget about that game. People forget about Coach K putting the hand on Dylan Brooks' chest, stopping him, and lecturing him. Came after one of the most egregious flops I've ever seen. Shocker from Dylan Brooks. But I've got Duke and Alabama in the Elite Eight for a chance to go to the Final Four. Once again, you're watching along here on stream with Austin Norman, Wilson Moore, Jacob Bigelow. We're going over our NCAA tournament brackets here. Let's move on to the Midwest. A KenPom top 10 game between Houston and Gonzaga. Wilson, we'll start with you. Cougs or Zags?
Cougs. I think this was a Final Four team last year if Jamal Shedd hadn't gotten injured. And I think this team is just as talented, just as good, just as dangerous.
Okay. Jacob?
Right there with you. Gonzaga. You want to talk about teams that probably don't deserve their seed, them being an 8.
Mike, please.
Sorry?
People want to hear you.
Sorry? Are you sure about that? I don't know if people actually want to hear me.
We have 232 people on stream, Jacob. They want to hear you.
Holy cow. Yeah, I'll take Gonzaga. Not Gonzaga. I mean Houston. Yeah. Confusion. Gonzaga, they should not be in an 8-9 game. They're pretty good. And I know people had questions about them all year, but I mean I think Houston is what the kids would call a wagon.
I agree. I do have to push back, though. I do think Duke finds a way to win that Elite Eight game last year, even with Jamal Shedd. But again, I'm probably homering the crap out of that one. So I've got Clemson, Purdue on the other side of that one. This is where I think Purdue's entire lack of interest and ability to defend the rim comes back to bite them. I think Ian Shefflin lets his own Big Ten show, and I have got the Clemson Tigers moving on to a date with Houston in the Sweet 16.
I also have Purdue losing. And I have them losing to the Cowboys of McNeese. I feel like there's going to be a double-digit seed in this Final Four, in this Sweet 16, and I think it's McNeese State. Everything I said about how tempted I was to take High Point in the first round over Purdue, that all applies to this game, and I'm pulling the trigger on it.
See. This is McNeese High Point in Bigelow World. This is McNeese High Point.
We've reached a crescendo, folks.
Will Wade, American Gangster against the Huss Bus. You heard me earlier. We free Will Wade gang, even though he is not free. But he may soon be freer, possibly in Raleigh. So I'll take McNeese.
We have 2 McNeese State picks to the Sweet 16 against Houston. I knew I brought these guys in for a reason. I knew it. Occasionally, I know what I'm doing. This is absolutely fantastic. Bottom half of that bracket is I have Kentucky, Illinois, and Tennessee, UCLA. This is where, again, I think Illinois gets hot for a weekend. Not anti-Kentucky. I just think Illinois has got a ceiling to them. I really do. So I'm going to take Illinois, and I'm just going to jump ahead. I'm also going to take UCLA. In a little bit of a surprise. Tennessee's been good. I don't know. I'm not sold on Tennessee. Before the year, I thought I was going to take him to the Final Four. I think in 2 defense-first programs. I like Zakai Zeigler. I think he gets in foul trouble. Meshack doesn't do it for me. He's good. I could see a random Ade Mara game. I could see a random Tyler Bilodeau game in this one. So I've got the 6 and the 7 in the Midwest region in the Sweet 16.
I'm with you on Illinois. I could see the UCLA path. Hate is a strong word. I don't like to speak in absolutes. I hate watching Tennessee play basketball. I really do not enjoy it. Rick Barnes has tried to put the Rick Barnes doesn't win in the tournament talk to bed. Mixed results these last few years. Tennessee basketball will always be a weird visual to me, but I will. Rocky Top will always be home sweet home. Tennessee basketball will always be a weird visual. I got Illini and Vols. A lot of orange in Indy for the Sweet 16.
Yeah. Obviously, when it's a toss-up, I'm taking the Big Ten Illinois team. I'm glad you guys did too, because now you can't do the bit quite as much on this. But yes, I am taking Illinois, and I've got Tennessee. I just think UCLA is too weird, too inconsistent. I like Tennessee there.
Okay, which brings us here to the Sweet 16. Houston's a wagon. Houston is an absolute wagon. Now, if this game was being played at Little John Arena, I would take Clemson. They do not lose to top 5 teams in Little old Clemson, South Carolina.
Man, we are living in different worlds.
Clemson who, brother? You're on a different.
Sorry, my ACC is showing, I guess, whatever. And then I do have a matchup of Big Ten teams. I do have to remind myself of, we did get, obviously, UCLA and Illinois at some point. I am not recalling how that game went, so I need to re-educate myself since that's where I ended up. But allow me to pontificate as I scroll through the UCLA men's basketball schedule. This was a 5-point win for the Fighting Illini in Urbana-Champaign. It was 83-78. I don't think that happens, but you know what? Screw it. I will ride with Illinois. I'm going to do it. I will take the Illini getting hot at the right time. I will take them over the Bruins. Jacob, let's go to you.
You both know me pretty well, all things considered. It should be considered like miraculous that I still have Brad Underwood in this bracket. It should be considered like awfully complimentary, considering what I think of that man, that he is still listed in this bracket, and this is where it ends. So my Elite Eight, I'm gonna go with Cougs and Vols, chalk. Gross, I know, but and also no, the NBA holes are gonna hate that game if that's an Elite Eight matchup in Indianapolis. Houston and Tennessee may set the game back years, but that is gonna be my Elite Eight pick.
Yeah, I've got the Will Wade dream dying in the Sweet 16 against Houston.
He has to get to Raleigh eventually.
Yeah, and then I have Tennessee over Illinois.
Okay, so we all end up with Houston in the Elite Eight. I'm going to take the Cougs. That's another program that I just can't quit. And again, when I think of destiny, I do end up thinking of Houston to the Final Four. So I have Auburn, I have Duke, and I have Houston in the Final Four. Wilson, your Elite Eight pick in the Midwest region
is Houston.
Okay.
Did we talk Final Four in the bracket above this? Because I do not have Duke. And I don't think we talked about it.
My bad. Okay, let's go back.
I don't think we talked. I don't think we talked.
My apologies.
Final Four up top.
Well, I'm taking Duke over Alabama. I just think Duke has too many ways to beat Alabama. Good run for the Tide ends there. So I will roll with the homer pick, the Duke Blue Devils. My apologies, gentlemen.
Yeah, no, I'm zagging. And I hate that I'm zagging. But Austin, what has been the biggest question I've asked you all year about this Duke team?
I'm drawing a blank.
It involves the guy at the end of the bench. The front end of it.
Oh, you're not sold on Shire, are you?
Correct. And right. I think, like, yes, all the numbers say Duke should run roughshod over this bracket. Well, their defensive metrics, the Cooper flag of it all, the guys who do, you talk about the little things, whether it's Malawach and his post presence, whether it's Tyrese when it's good Tyrese Proctor, not the opposite side of the Tyrese Proctor experience. Mm-hmm. The guys that have stepped up in the most random moments, like Isaiah Evans and Malik Brown in the game in Chapel Hill, and the pieces. It all says Duke should be in the Final Four. I'm taking a guy who was a math teacher 11 years ago to go to back-to-back Final Fours. He will definitely be wearing an absurd blazer while doing so. But I'll give me Nate Oates. Alabama. We talked about the Grant Nelson thing. That's going to loom large. But I can't have every 1 seed here. And I wasn't going to have every 1 seed, but my right side is Bama up top and Houston down below.
Yeah, I got Duke. I hate how chalky my bracket is turning out here, but I just think Duke. I think Duke is maybe the best team in the country. I think they're really good. Flag is obviously a stud. Malawat is one of my...
Into the mic, Wilson, louder. I need to hear this, please. Come on. Jacob put me down. I need you to... Come on.
I was just saying Colin Malawat is one of my favorite, just like random big men to watch. I love me a good, extremely tall and yet smooth big man. And he's that. I think I have him beating Wisconsin in the Elite Eight.
I like it. So Alabama scares me just because of how many threes they shoot, right? The math of it all, right? Duke is a good three-point shooting team. They don't have quite the volume that Alabama does. How do you beat length? I mean, Bama and most other teams in the country are going to be at a size mismatch against Duke. How do you beat it? You shoot over top of them. Number one, I'm homering it, but I do just think Duke ends up finding a way. So that's where I end up with that. We are on to the Florida region.
Let's get weird, friends.
Oh, we're going to get weird. Okay.
Are you about
Sounds like you want to start this off, Jacob.
Okay.
Okay. Go for it. It's all yours.
Oh, we're starting up top, right?
We're starting up top.
I still got Florida.
Come on. All that build up.
No. The bottom half is where I'm getting weird.
Okay.
The bottom half is where I'm getting weird.
Okay.
I so badly want to take UConn over Florida.
They know how to win.
They
got the best coach in the damn sport.
UConn is the Green Goblin mask, calling to me, right?
Except it's Dan Hurley. Except it's Dan Hurley's voice, and he's not calling you a coward.
No,
he's saying some NSFW
he is calling me way worse things than that. Because
he's calling you a Big 12 guy.
I mean, my whole thing, I just feel like everyone's too high on Florida right now. Florida is everyone's darling. Florida is everyone's, I don't want to see that team. And I feel like that team inevitably disappoints. And I do think Florida does that, but not just yet as much as I want to take UConn. This is paining me.
All right. I got to go with Florida. I do. I think it's a good game. I think UConn punches a bit above its weight this year. But again, math. I like Florida in this one. I've got Maryland and I've got Colorado State in the other game down there.
We all
excellent
in the club. We all Ramley. we all Ramley here.
Is this the beginning of the weirdness?
I'm a homer, so yeah.
Okay.
I'm that is the one. This is the one pick where I will unapologetically. There is no basketball in this. There is only
neat Clifford.
There is only the small cold pieces of my heart that are left and my pea-sized brain in this pick, with Colorado State going to the Sweet 16. And the heater continues for the Rams.
Wilson, you doubling down?
I'm not. I got Maryland here. Maryland.
Oh, Big Ten Willie. What they call him, Big Ten Willie.
I'm in the boat with you. So
it's Maryland scares me. I'm not going to lie, just because I don't know that there's a team that we've seen just on a night in, night out basis pull a Jekyll and Hyde act the way Maryland has this entire season. There are times when I would watch them this season and be like, this is a 1 seed. This is this team is incredible. And then there are games against Illinois, where it's just what happened. So
I mean, I don't want to go full Colin Cowherd, but Maryland basketball, Seattle, long way from home, long flight, a lot of travel. Kevin Willard away from home. I don't want to, I don't want to. I should have worn a 3-piece suit. This was a special occasion, but no, I don't want to go full Colin Cowherd on you.
Fair enough. So we have one Ramley member. We have 2 Crab 5. So that is where we end up with that. I have Drake and Texas Tech. I think you guys both went with Missouri in that one.
Correct.
We'll start with Wilson again, since you have Mizzou. We'll let you talk up the Tigers and a former Big 12 foe against Texas Tech. Can they get it done?
Yeah, sorry to the wonderful city of Columbia.
Como has FOMO for the Sweet 16.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Look, after this, make yourself feel better. Go have a beer at iTap. Get a burger from Booch's. Enjoy
Your Como
everything.
Yeah.
Enjoy everything that wonderful town has to offer. But I think Missouri is another team that just peaked a little too early.
Mhm.
They're not playing their best basketball right now, and I think it comes to an end against Texas Tech.
All right, Jacob.
I have Texas Tech too, and I will use this as a preamble because we love narratives here.
We do. Big narrative, guys.
Your pick would be your Drake Texas Tech, right?
Yes.
Your two head coaches in that matchup are attached at the hip. Those two are very, very good friends. That would be quite the clash of styles, but that would be a very, very, very interesting coaching matchup if that came to be between Grant McCasland and Ben McCollum.
It's going to happen. I don't know why you guys are picking otherwise, but whatever. That's just you guys. So whatever.
I said the bottom half is where I'm getting weird. I'm not getting weird yet, but the weird does involve the Red Raiders. So Texas Tech moves on, and then we get weird.
Okay, I will also take Texas Tech to move on. And okay, you set the stage for yourself, Jacob. Let's do it. Get into it. Bottom game.
You heard me talk about how much this sport needs this game.
I did.
This sport needs this game
Desperately.
This tournament needs a storyline.
I need a straight line to this game.
You see this vein right here?
Yep.
Like I don't care. Right here, I need it.
So
this sport also needs the St. John's PR tour to end because St. John's has been on a PR tour, singing sea shanties with Jimmy Fallon.
Is it bad if the second I saw that, I was like, this is going to be so funny when they get knocked out of the tournament?
Absolutely. And it pains me to do this because Rick Pitino is so good for college basketball.
Mm-hmm. He's so good at college basketball.
And good at it. Like he is I think he's the greatest college basketball coach of all time. Full stop. I don't need your ring count. I love me some Rick. But the PR tour has to end. And John Calipari, after he had that eat and grin on his face when he won at Rupp Arena, is going to have his second biggest eat and grin on his face after he sends Rick Pitino home in Providence on Saturday.
Okay. There it is. Wilson.
I got the Johnnies. I had Arkansas beating Kansas in a vibes game, but I'm still not really convinced Arkansas is all that good. They were good for most of this season. I think St. John's is very good, and I think they won this game.
This is where I have to rely on some numbers here. So someone named Joe Petta on Twitter dug up a KenPom tweet from March 14th of 2023. And added to it a little bit here. The KenPom tweet was, in the 64-team era, there have been 36 teams to enter the tournament as a 1 or 2 seed that weren't ranked in the AP preseason poll. They've combined for 0 Final Fours, averaging fewer than 2 wins per tournament. That was the year that Purdue lost to FDU and that Marquette lost in the second round. Last year, it applies to Iowa State, unranked to a 2 seed. They lose in round 3 of the tournament as a 2 seed. The 2 teams that fit that criteria this year, Michigan State and St. John's. Again, this is according to the KenPom numbers from 2 years ago. We haven't had an unranked team as a 1 or 2 seed qualify for the Elite Eight. A 1 seed, it was Oregon in 2016. A 2 seed, it was Kansas State in 2010. Since then, 2011 Notre Dame lost in the second round. 2013 Georgetown got Dunk City. 2013 Miami made it to the Sweet 16. Alabama in 21 made it to the Sweet 16. 2014 Villanova made it to round 2. 2016 Xavier made it to round 2. This is the spot that I'm torn because I hear everything that Wilson is saying. Arkansas is not that good. They're just not. They don't inspire me. They are so blah. They are so mediocre. Then I hear what Jacob has to say. And it's Team of Destiny. Does this PR tour have to end? I can't do it. I have to go with St. John's. I do not like watching them play. I do not agree with their style. Patino just coaches circles around Cal. I'm just so uninspired by so much of what John Calipari does as a head coach. So I'm this close. I'm this close to ending the PR tour early. I want to because of the numbers. I just get Team of Destiny vibes from St. John's a little bit. So I got to go with the Johnnies in this one.
Thank you for mentioning 2010 Kansas State. I didn't realize when I walked in here I needed a Jacob Pullen nostalgia. I did. It feels great.
I deliver. Man. What I do. You're a guest on my podcast. You get Jacob Pullen references. So I am extremely chalky in this region. I have Florida and Maryland in the Sweet 16, as well as St. John's and Texas Tech. And that scares me. I don't love it. I'm taking the Crab 5 back on the top of the bracket.
Ooh!
Wilson, yes! Our Big Ten is still showing! Talk to me. Tell me why Maryland.
Big Ten Willie.
Everything I said the last round still applies, which is why taking Maryland is such a risky proposition. But man, at their best, they are so good. And again, what I said last round, it just feels like Florida's flying a little too high right now.
Icarus, you're too close to the sun.
Yeah.
Okay, Jacob.
Well, unfortunately, this is Florida, Colorado State in my world. So, fellas, and by fellas, I mean my friends in Fort Collins, Colorado. In this hypothetical situation, it was a great run. There's going to be some interesting things on the horizon for a few of you. But the run ends against the Gators in San Francisco. I'm riding the Florida wave for one more round. So I will take Florida to the Elite Eight. And then since I've got the goofy one, I took the Chicken Nugget boys down below. I'll say Texas Tech is going to the Elite Eight, and I'll even, just so I don't have to talk for a while, Texas Tech's going to the Final Four. This was where I thought this is what I meant by saying let's get weird. I think the world of Grant McCasland as a basketball coach. We've talked about St. John's style and how it may be not exactly easy on the eyes. Texas Tech is in a similar vein. But I really enjoy me some JT Toppin. I think the world of Grant McCasland. He's got the Canadian Mike Krzyzewski on his coaching staff. People forget. He's got the Coach K of Canada on that staff.
You spell Canada with a K there.
Yeah. He's got the Coach K of Canada living in Lubbock, Texas. So I'm taking the Red Raiders. Guns up all the way to the Final Four.
Wreck 'em, Tech. Wreck 'em. Wilson, where are you at the bottom of that bracket?
I've got Texas Tech and Maryland, and I'm actually not going to continue this bit. I think Texas Tech beats Maryland in the Elite Eight. Everything I said about Maryland applies, and I just can't, in good conscience, take them winning that many games in a row. They lay an egg eventually. It happens. That's what this team does, unfortunately. And I think Texas Tech ends up in the Final Four.
Crab 5, baby. Crab 5.
Kevin Willard. Awesome.
Kevin Willard.
Final Four? Kevin Willard, Final Four.
Jacoby Gillespie, Final Four.
Austin, blink 3 times if Kevin Willard is making you do this. Wow. He is staring dead into my soul. You have nice eyes, by the way.
I appreciate
Anyone
that.
ever tell you that?
I appreciate that. I don't love it. I feel horrible about that. I could see Florida steamrolling Maryland. I love Texas Tech. JT Toppin might be the best player in that regional. Might be. I'm not sold on that take.
Mm-hmm.
I love me Texas Tech. I respect the way that they've built back up. They were fun to watch in the Big 12 for playing a style that I don't necessarily love. Maryland, Jacoby Gillespie, he's good. He deserves his moment. I think he's the breakout star of March. They've answered more questions for me with their two bigs than Michigan has. Like, Michigan's bigs should be a better fit together with how Wolf can stretch the floor and handle. But I like Derek Queen. I think he's really good. I think that, he finds a way to maneuver around Florida's extreme height. I think Julian Reese does enough of the dirty work to make it work for him. And Tech's not huge. They're not. I think we get some fireworks between Toppin and Gillespie, But in the end, I think it comes down to a Derek Queen layup or free throw or something at the end. I got Maryland in a tight one to go to the Final Four. I do. So, all right.
People forget that when Maryland played here, Wilson said every time he heard Derek Queen, he heard Dairy Queen. You can take the man out of Minnesota. You can't take the Minnesota out of the man.
Am I wrong that like if you say it quickly, it sounds like it? That also has me thinking.
I just didn't have someone tweet it out about me, so I'm with you.
I also feel like that you could have some fun nicknames with Derek Queen. Like what about like Derek Blizzard Man Queen?
I mean, I don't know why they don't just call. I mean, I don't know why like DMV. Well, is Dairy Queen out east? Like I don't know. Like I don't know how he's not just DQ. Like I don't know how he's like DQ and like something like that. But he. What's your Dairy Queen order?
I mean, it depends what I'm in the mood for. I think the most basic that I'll go is just the Oreo Blizzard. Like you can't go wrong with that. Well, I'll get a blizzard.
I thought she'd be like a peanut butter parfait guy. I took you as a peanut butter parfait guy, but I'm glad that I assumed incorrectly because you seem appalled by this assumption.
I don't like nuts in dessert. To me, they bring nothing to the table.
It's a great take. That's a great take. That is this guy.
Yeah. Do we care to guess which state has the most Dairy Queen franchises operating in it?
Is it not Minnesota?
It is not Minnesota, and it is not Minnesota by a long shot.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa?
It is not Iowa. Iowa is middle of the pack in DQ locations.
Region of the country, please.
It is south of the Mason-Dixon line.
What in the world? Yeah, landmass. Texas.
584 Dairy Queen locations in Texas compared to 222 in the state of Minnesota. Care to guess which state has the fewest operating Dairy Queen locations?
Hawaii.
It is not Hawaii. Hawaii has 6. And Alaska has 5, so they are also not the lowest.
Florida. No,
Florida has 154.
That was a bad guess. New Mexico.
New Mexico is lower on the totem pole. They have 34.
It's going to be one of the tiny northeastern states. It's like it's Maine.
It is not Maine.
Vermont.
It is Vermont. John Becker has outlawed Dairy Queen in the state of Vermont. There are 0 Dairy Queens in the state of Vermont. In the state of Maryland, 28 Dairy Queens in the state of Maryland. 0 in our nation's great capital. So maybe that's how we make America great again, as we introduce Dairy Queen to Washington, D.C. We'll have to see. All right, so let's just take a second, reset here. Austin Norman, Jacob Bigelow, and Wilson Moore with you here. We got just a handful of minutes left here as we go through making our bracket predictions here on the Quarter 3 podcast. My Final Four, left side of the bracket, I've got Auburn and Maryland. Right side of the bracket, I went super chalky. I have Duke and Houston. Wilson, set the table for us, your Final Four.
I have Michigan State versus Texas Tech. On the other side, I'm with you, Duke and Houston.
Okay, Jacob?
Auburn and Texas Tech, Alabama and Houston.
So we all have Houston making it, and I believe that is the only unanimous pick of the group. So let's start with the Cougs. Anyone have them going to the championship game?
I do.
Wilson does. Okay. Your rationale for Houston to the championship game?
It just feels like it's time for Houston. It feels like it's Houston's time. I think they have one of the most distinct identities in the country, and that's a credit to Kelvin Sampson for consistently recruiting and developing a team that plays like maniacs on the defensive end. And like I said, I had him in the Final Four last year until Jamal Shead got hurt. I think they break through this year.
Okay. Jacob, do you have Houston advancing to the championship game?
I do.
They take down your math teacher.
Yeah, they do take down Coach Oates.
Mike,
looking at this Final Four, it's tempting.
Jacob, Mike.
Speaking to the mic, Jacob. It's looking at this Final Four. It's tough for me because you could put in a couple different rematches, and it's you could go with what do they call it down there? They just call it the Iron Bowl of basketball, right?
Yeah,
the IBOB. They call it the Iron Bowl of basketball. Both of those games delivered and then some. And I think one of the games in the regular season that was not talked about, I know you want to go side by side. I'm just going to do the damn thing. I'm just going to finish it. It's going to be a rematch of not the Iron Bowl of basketball. Give me Houston and Texas Tech. in the national championship game.
All Big 12.
And all Big 12. The Big 12 slays the SEC Dragon in San Antonio, notably Big 12 country.
Yeah.
And I'm with Willie on it. Just feels like it's time for Kelvin Sampson. And I think if Kelvin Sampson were to get it done this year, could be it for, that could be just like a good, what if what if he goes out on top? Just what if?
Does he jump in the river?
He might. I don't know. Yeah, he might. I don't know. San Antonio, Charles Barkley will tell you about all them churros down there, Austin.
Trust me, I've been. I'm acquainted with the churros.
No, I am too. Those churros are gas. I'm not going to pretend like they're not, but I'll just finish it off. I got Houston, Texas Tech, and I got Houston cutting down nets in San Antonio.
All right, Wilson, lay it on us.
Yeah, we have previously established Houston. I have, on the other side of the bracket, I got Michigan State. Hold for applause.
Big Ten Willie.
True to the end.
He don't stop.
But I do stop there because I also have Houston winning it all.
Okay. That leaves me. My final four on the left side is Auburn and Maryland. And this is where I will put the Big Ten dreams to bed. I did think very strongly about the possibility of bringing back some very early 2000s, turn of the millennia Duke Maryland vibe.
Oh,
that would have been,
as the Duke homer in the room, I feel like you needed to.
I made enough stupid picks throughout the rest. I mean, what's one more at the end? But
Austin. Steve Blake's sitting courtside, where he's like, they're bringing back all the classic Maryland guys. They got Steve Blake's there, Juan Dixon's there. All the
Melo Trimble, Justin Jackson, Diamond Stone.
I don't know
all the classic Maryland,
all the classic Duke guys too, though. Like Duke, Maryland, like that gets the people going. Maryland doesn't belong in the Big Ten; they belong in the ACC. I will take that until I will take that to my grave. But
how about this? If Maryland goes to the ACC, Rutgers goes back to the Big East.
Rutgers just goes D2, dude. Rutgers can join the laundry list of Northeastern D2s. There's plenty of them up there, and it can. Or they can go back to the Big East. That works too. I mean, someone's got to be at the bottom. While Chris Holtman brings DePaul up. Someone's got to be down there.
I'm still so pissed at DePaul for blowing the Big East tournament the way they did. But you know what? That's a different story for a different day. I am going to roll with Auburn in this one. I don't know if I told you guys the story. The first Duke basketball game I remember watching was Duke VCU when the Rams took him down. So I didn't just jump on the Duke bandwagon, right? Like I know the Duke Maryland history in my head. I don't feel it in my heart. Right? I don't have that connection. I don't want to be a fake fan and claim it like, I've been there along for the ride the whole time. Before I move over there, Wilson, I told you my Tim Miles story.
I don't think so.
Okay, we're wrapping up with story time here on the Corner 3. I used to work at the Husker Sports Network before I moved in-house. I started there freshman year, sophomore year of college or something, and this was right after I started. My thing is, if my team is playing that day, I like to wear a shirt, a quarter zip for them, do my part, whatever. It was a Tuesday, Duke played, Nebraska didn't. So I'm wearing a Duke quarter zip to the Husker Sports Network. Dumb move. Again, working at Husker Sports Network, wearing Duke gear. Not my brightest moment by any means. Well, this particular Tuesday happened to be a Tim Miles coaches show. Okay. So what we did was down at Brewski's, the studio used to be up above that. We would put some barricades down there to save a parking spot for Coacher. I can't call him that, but I know that's what some people refer to him as.
You've got it by association. I'm in the room.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Outside of this exact situation, I know better than to call him that. Anyways, I go down the elevator to get the barricades. I see he pulled up, whatever, and I end up walking in the building with Tim Miles. We get to the world's jankiest elevator. I hated that elevator. It was so sketchy. I still have the code to get into the building, and every so often I'm walking into PP, I'll just stop up and reminisce, nostalgia, whatever. But anyways, I have these barricades. I'm walking and talking with Coach Miles, and he sees my bright blue Duke quarter zip. He says, "Oh, you're a Duke fan. Are you from North Carolina?" "No, I'm from Lincoln, born and raised. You have family out there?" No, Coach, I know family out there. And so the logical next question is, why are you a Duke fan? I turned to Tim Miles and I said, "Because I needed someone to root for in March."
Oh.
I said that to Tim Miles' face in an elevator. A small elevator, a janky elevator that could have gotten stopped at any point in time. And Tim Miles being Tim Miles, he laughed it off. He shrugged it off. And God was looking out for me. In that moment, the elevator doors opened. I let Coach go his way. I went my way. And I proceeded to go back to the production studio and plant my right foot firmly in my mouth.
That is incredible.
That is, yeah. I never said another word to Tim Miles after that again. So, yeah, that happened. I am not proud of it, but it is at least a story to tell. So, I am going to homer the crap out of this. I am going to take Duke in the Elite Eight rematch from last year. I think Juwan Roberts might sprain his ankle again or something. He gave Duke fits last year, especially when he was matched up with Kyle Filipowski. I could see Juwan Roberts absolutely sunning Cooper Flagg on the low block a couple times. That's not where Cooper Flagg thrives and succeeds. I could see Common Malawatch being a non-factor in that game as Houston's able to go small. I could see Milos Uzan continuing to get hot. I could see LJ Cryer, making up for once and former, making up for Jeremy Roach, right? Tie those storylines together at the end of the day. I'm going to rely on my college football playoff credentialism a little bit here. Before the year, I said it was title or bust for Ohio State. They were my pick, even through the Michigan stuff, even through some lack of impressive showings early in the year. And I said before the year, it's title or bust for Duke. I love the roster that they built around Cooper Flagg. I think by this point, they will have had to have won a tight game where Cooper Flagg doesn't trip on his own sweat and fall down and turn the ball over late. I think he might even spin left once. He won't, spin right in the middle of the lane and get it stripped. Maybe that's wishful thinking. But in the same vein that I took Ohio State, I am going to homer it. I am going to take Duke. I am going to take John Shire getting on the board. And for no other reason than I want to see Duke prove it against Auburn, right? It was a true home game for Duke, true road game for Auburn in the SEC ACC Challenge. I want to see the Blue Devils back it up. I'm 1-for-1 on sticking with my off-air private confidence picks before the year. And yeah, it's homer. But yeah, I'm going to do it. These have been the two best teams in the sport. I know we just got that a couple years ago with UConn and Purdue. That's just last year already.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez Louise, that was just last year. So it's not going to happen. Auburn's going to have a Chad Baker Mazzara-ism before this. That's bound to befall them. But I'm rolling with Duke. I got to do it. So
the least surprising move of the night is saved for last, and it comes from our host, our gracious host this evening. Saves no guessing needed for the end of it, which is honestly quite beautiful.
But
you left no room. You left no room for mystery, no room for anything. And through the 2 hours almost that we've been here, we knew what you were doing the entire time, and you stuck to your guns, and that is very admirable.
But the real friends are the friends you made along the way, right? It's the journey. It's not the destination.
Absolutely.
And we got people to hold on for an hour and 48 minutes.
We got a Tim Miles story. I asked him what his Dairy Queen order was. I think I acknowledged the amount of unhealthy relationships I have at one point in my life in regards to Kansas basketball. So this was all over the place, and honestly, I wouldn't have had it any other way.
And this is live on stream. I'm doing it 3, 2, 1, submit. There. It is saving. It is locked on CBS Sports. I don't need to play for prizes. I'll look out of the pop-up window. You know what?
CBS.
Yeah, that's what my family does it through.
So my family does too.
You know what?
You and your wholesome families on CBS.
Yeah, what makes CBS more wholesome?
Isn't CBS
Does
like
ESPN host
America's network, right? Isn't that like?
I guess.
I believe so.
I don't know. Like it's wholesome. CBS.
All right. I am, I believe, even the first person in my bracket to lock this in. I am. So I beat my family to it. We'll see how that goes. Gentlemen, it has been an honor. It has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. It's been great. I hope we can make this an annual sort of tradition moving forward. Wilson, don't have too much fun in the greatest coaching regional ever. Don't forget us little people while you're up in Providence.
Yeah. No. Safe travels, man. That's gonna be a blast. You're gonna have you're not in the content game. You're a newspaper man. You're old school, but you're gonna be present for a content goal line, and there's gonna be plenty. I mean, Patino, Cal, Self, Wade, Brownell, and Chris Crutchfield. No slights to Chris Crutchfield, the Mavs, or the Trash Cans. But yeah, safe travels, man. Thanks for jumping in with us tonight.
Yeah, happy to.
We will look forward to Wilson's coverage of the Omaha Mavericks. Follow him on Twitter at @WilsMore_. He's at Jacob A. Bigelow on Twitter, and I am Austin_Orman. For the fellas, I'm Austin. Thank you so much for tuning in. It has been a blast. It has been a ride. We will talk to you soon.